right. Thank you so much for talking to me today. Real quick, can you state your name for me?
My name is Aaron Hanson. I'm the owner and brewer and distiller at Ellison Brewing Company in East Lansing, Michigan.
Thank you. All right. And then, so how did you get to this, to Ellison?
That's a good question, actually, because I usually tell people dumb luck and opportunity, but I was living in the UK at the time, working as an automotive engineer, and I spent a lot of time in Scotland for distilling. I'm a really big whiskey person, and so it kind of, right before I was going to move back, I was contemplating coming back and opening up my own distillery, and my business partner from high school, actually one of my friends from high school, who is my business partner now, sold craft beer here in Michigan. So I just kind of started kicking around the idea with him, and then we kind of came to the conclusion that it would be better to do a brewery and distillery. And then once we kind of finalized the business plan, we just decided to add the winery part to it because it was a checkbox on the application. It only cost another $25 to get the license. So it made sense at the time, and having all three commodities allows us to offer a very diverse menu to basically everybody. So if your wife doesn't like beer, but she likes cocktails, or maybe she likes wine, both people, husband and wife, can still come here, and everyone's happy. It's not a one or the other kind of thing. So that's kind of how we started, and started off as a distillery supported by a brewery, and now it's a brewery that just happens to have a distillery. So kind of funny how things kind of shake out.
Yeah, I feel like it's often the other way around.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
The
sometimes.
beer first, and then
Right.
venture into other things.
Yeah, no, I mean, the distillery's just coming online now. I mean, we've been kind of messing around with it for a little while, but the brewery's been so crazy with demand. Like, we physically can't keep up with demand right now. We've only been open coming up on 18 months, and we've already had 2 expansions. So, yeah, maybe it's the quality of the beer, or maybe it's just the market's that dry. I don't know. I'm happy though. So.
Yeah. So, a little bit about your background.
Okay. My background, so before this, I was an automotive engineer for 10 years. I went to Lawrence Tech in Southfield. And before that, I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, and now I'm here. So it's kind of an interesting journey. I've lived and worked all over the world, for the military, but also for engineering. So I've got a pretty diverse background as far as where I've lived and worked, from Brazil to Germany to the Middle East. So it's been quite the journey.
Does that journey, do any of those flavors from places that you've tried come back here?
Yeah, I would say so, for sure. The German beers are very traditional. Like, I go out of my way to source ingredients and do techniques that are very specific to Germany so that our beers taste as authentic as possible, even down to the chemistry of the water profile or the mineral profile for that water. I've got test equipment and software, and we'll manipulate our neutral water profile to whatever the mineral profile of that specific region of Europe is. And then obviously from the distillery side, huge cachaça fan from Brazil, which is essentially sugarcane whiskey. It's kind of like rum, but it's made one less step. So we've got some. I've been playing around with making that and trying to get some cocktails like caipirinha on the menu, but we're working toward it. So.
Yeah. So what was your first successful beer you brewed under the title of Ellison?
Successful? Just define successful.
Was there a beer that you started, that you had in mind when you started Ellison, and you saw it all the way through?
Oh, I wouldn't say like when we started. It ebbs and flows kind of with the season, kind of what we're feeling. Palates change and evolve, and like your moods kind of change and evolve. I mean, I think right now one of our big beers, it's called You Can Get With That Juice. It's a big double IPA. It's probably one of our highest rated beers. Actually, it's been labeled one of the best IPAs coming out of Michigan in the last 6 months. So that's That's pretty good beer for us. So.
So you're from the area, you're from DeWitt.
Yep.
Why was it important to come back to Lansing?
Well, there's just a big void of craft beer here, right? So there's Grand Rapids is crazy with craft. Kalamazoo's crazy. Detroit is getting there, but Lansing didn't have anything. It was just this void. So just happened to be the, like I said, dumb luck and opportunity. We found this place off Craigslist one Sunday night, and we saw the opportunity to, have a good craft brewery in Lansing. So.
So, you mentioned 2 expansions.
Mm-hmm.
What is the future for Ellison?
I don't know. It's a good question. We're kind of, right now we're trying to just keep up with demand. We're not trying to accumulate a lot of debt. So we're working hard. We're trying to make as high a quality product as fast as we can. And we're just trying to see where the market goes right now. It's an interesting time. Everyone screams bubble. There's saturation point. And we're trying to play it safe. We don't want to be overly optimistic and take out a couple $1 million in debt, open this huge production facility, and all of a sudden the market falls out. So we're trying to keep it safe. Keep demand and supply balanced, and while keeping our overhead low. So.
And what is your favorite beer you brew?
Ooh. See, everyone asks that, but I don't really have a favorite. I'm telling you, it literally changes on the mood. Whether it's warm or cold, it just kind of whatever I'm feeling for that day. I think the one I've been drinking a lot lately is our Irish Red Ale that we did for St. Patty's Day. It's really easy to drink, a lot of flavor, low in alcohol. So, you're obviously you can have more than one or two. Then other times it's, maybe sip on a stout, or you can, have a nice IPA. Dawn Street, our pale ale, is drinking really, really nice. It's a really good pale ale. So.
All right. Is there anything you want to add about the brewery itself?
Well, we've got the meat truck out here now, finally. So we've got food option. And we're adding a patio here in the next few weeks. So there'll be a nice patio off the front of the building, and or at least the front of our area, which will almost double our capacity, which will be nice. And we'll constantly be rotating through, some new beers here in a couple weeks, new can releases, and keep adding to the cocktail menu as more spirits become available. So.
And my final question is, do you think that Lansing will become a big beer hub in the state?
That's a good question. You mean like Grand Rapids, like beer hub?
Yeah, and just have a very unique identity compared to Grand Rapids or Detroit. You have historic Atwater.
Yeah, right. It's probably going to sound bad. I do not think Lansing is going to be that beer destination. The only issues that I see with that is there's a lot of people that want to make Lansing like Grand Rapids, but the problem is Lansing's not Grand Rapids. That we need to find our own identity, and I don't think that identity for Lansing is going to be craft beer. When you look at the demographics, Lansing is significantly more blue collar, especially West Lansing, South Lansing, than Grand Rapids. Especially with all the GM plants around. Traditionally, those demographics aren't craft beer oriented. We're changing that slowly, but even if you go to East Lansing and you look at the top selling beers in East Lansing, it's easy drinking, Keystone, Bud Light, Miller Lite, and that's primarily because of the college demographics. It's the tailgate beers that you can drink a lot of. It's not craft because most college kids can't afford craft. To be honest, it's just a little more expensive. So that can change. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but me personally, I don't see Lansing becoming that destination for craft beer. Not like Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids has reached a saturation point, and they've been doing it a lot longer. So they have breweries that are 10, 15, 20 years old, instead of Lansing, where the oldest run around here is 5, maybe 3, 4. So it's like they're much more rooted into the culture, and but if you add another 10 years to where craft is going to be, I don't think it's not going to be like that here. It just won't be. So,
Yeah.
but
But
that's
does
all.
that make it that much more important to have this as an option?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think what'll end up happening. I think it's going to be, you're not going to have 20 breweries in Lansing. You just won't. There's not enough customer base to support it. I think what you'll have is you'll have 5 to 7, 5 to 10 maybe, and that'll be about it. It'll be, us, it'll be Old Nation out in Williamston, it'll be like maybe Lansing Brewing Company, and then as the big ones, and then there'll be a couple smaller satellite ones, I think there's one opening in Diamonddale and Grand Ledge and, that kind of thing. Like more brew pubs, not production breweries. So, and I think that's acceptable, to be honest. I don't, if you provide people with too much choice, eventually everything just gets lost, and you're starting to see that on market shelves a lot, where the beer section is so lost that people don't even know what they want anymore, and then the beer ends up sitting on the shelf and it goes bad, and so, it's almost better. It's that old rule of, in this instance, maybe less is more. So, but yeah, I think that's kind of where it's going to happen. There's already a lot of other beers out there that distribute beer. So you have a lot of options. Places like Hopcat are a good example. Places like that I think will be popular. But as far as places that produce, I don't think it's going to be as saturated as Detroit or Grand Rapids. So.
Great. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you so much. If you don't mind, I'm going to